Welcome to a reverse off the classroom video on keeping an interactive student notebook. Tonight's video is going to talk about what I mean by interactive. It's going to explain what my expectations are for how you keep your ISN in my notebook and why it's so important. It's going to give you some examples for ways that you can interact with your learning. And it's going to describe how your thinking is going to be assessed. Your ISN is different from most of the notebooks you've kept in two important ways. The first way is that it's your textbook, along with the NiceNet website from my class. I haven't come across a textbook that actually does what we need it to do, so we write our own, including the information we need and are thinking about that information. So the notes that you take in your ISN is basically giving you your textbook for my class. The ISN is also meant to be interactive. If you look at the word interactive, it's an adjective, and it means acting upon or with something. That came right out of dictionary.com. And if you look at the word interactive, it comes from two stems. The stem inter, which means between or among, and the stem active. They're both Latin stems, which means characterized by energetic work or participation. So your ISN is set up so that you can interact with the material we discuss in class. That means you're going to take the notes you take in our focus lessons, and you're actually going to do something with them. You're going to think about them. You're going to make connections. You're going to synthesize them in a way that it becomes your information. The purpose of your interactive notebook is, first of all, to enable you to be a creative, independent thinker and writer, and to actually do something with the information that you take in class besides just write it down. One of the things that you should have kind of come to understand is that the focus of my classroom is that you become an active learner, that you take an active role in becoming better readers and writers. And this interactive student notebook is just one more piece that goes into that whole picture of an active learner. Your ISN is used where you take your notes, your class notes during focus lesson. And it's also a place for other activities where you get to express your own ideas, make your own connections, and kind of process the information that we present in class. And this is something that's kind of different for a class notebook. Typically, you sit down, you copy the notes down, and you don't look at them again until it's time to take your test. I'm hoping that our interactive notebook this year will be a little more valuable to you. How to set up your ISN. I'm pretty particular about how I want your notebook set up because it has a particular function in the notebook. The function depends on your notebook being structured correctly. It's organized around a two-page spread, a right-hand and a left-hand page. And you can see the picture of one of my student notebooks from last year. The right-hand pages are always even numbered pages, and when we work in class, either today's class or the next class, we will have gone through and numbered your pages. The right-hand side is the input side. It's where you're going to record notes from our focus lessons and the notes you take off of the homework videos and handouts and things I give you to glue in. And everybody's right-hand page is going to contain the same information. That's like my page. That's the input page. I give you the information that I want you to think about. The second half of the ISN setup is the left-hand page. Those are always odd numbered, and there's a reason between the even and the odd, or the right side and the left side. The even numbered right-hand pages are pages you can get right. Everybody should be the same. The odd numbered pages, your page is going to be different from everybody else's, or it'll look odd. It's the left-hand side is the interactive side. It's where you look at the information that you took down in class and you interact with it in some way. Maybe it's applying the skills that we talked about in class. Maybe it's a graphic organizer to rethink the information. Maybe it's a sketch. Maybe sketches help you think. I don't know, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this video. But the left-hand page is where you actually make the information we took in class your own. It's also where you'll write your summaries and your questions from the homework videos. Remember that the left-hand pages are your pages, the student pages, and nobody's left-hand page should look the same because each of you thinks differently and you interact with the data differently. And I expect the left-hand pages to reflect who you are as thinkers and learners. And this is kind of a blank notebook just to show you in one illustration where the pages are sewn in down the middle, of course, is what divides it right hand and left hand. The right hand side is even numbered, and it's where you will have your new ideas and skills. Tests and quizzes come from right side pages. The left hand side is a page where you kind of write to understand, where you process, where you practice, where you kind of turn things over and make connections and make the information more of your own. I also want page headings and table of contents, please. Topics for the right-hand page notes. If you've taken notes from a video, the name of the video is always going to be the topic of your right-hand notes. Notes that are taken from the homework videos and titles of glue-ins, project information. All of this goes into a table of contents. This was an ISN from a math class last year, obviously. But you can see how it's set up, and we'll do this setup together in class, and it'll be at the very front of your book. Here's just some possibilities. These are just real quick page shots from some interactive student notebooks that I've had over the last few years. You can look at this long list of possibilities: timelines, Venn diagrams, flowcharts, collages, T-charts, annotations, comic strips, cubing, summaries. The one in the upper left-hand corner was a reaction to some notes taken about the gods from ancient Greece. That was a social studies notebook. And the one below it was from a class of mine last year where we were talking about character traits. And we had talked about how the author showed character in a particular story. And this was how the student translated it on her left-hand side. She drew what she thought the character would look like, and then she sort of annotated or put little blurbs as to exactly what the character did and where the character traits would have been illustrated. Just something to help you remember and make sense of the information. Your ISN is going to be graded. Anything that is important is going to be checked. So I'm going to grade your ISN for all the things we just talked about. Do you have a table of contents that is complete? Are your pages numbered and are your notes titled? Is everything glued in neatly and in the right place? Probably the biggest thing you can do to mess yourself up is to not glue things in, to not have a glue stick, shove it in your notebook when I hand it out in class, and then it gets lost. I know how things happen. And then it's either you don't know where it goes or you can't find it and your notebook's a mess. Are the right-hand page notes complete and are they correct? I keep an ISN and I'm going to compare yours to mine. Are your left-hand pages thoughtful? Are they complete? Do they show connections and new thinking? Your left-hand page needs to be more than just rewriting the right-hand page in a different handwriting, a different color, or putting the same information into different words. Is it legible and clean? And do I see color and creativity in your left-hand pages? Can I see your personality? Is there voice to your left-hand pages? I will assess your ISN once per 9 weeks, and I don't know exactly when I'll do it. What I do know is that I will only take up one class per day. So if you hear at lunch that I've collected block 2, block 3 is probably safe. I'll collect one class a day, grade it, and get it back to them. We're also going to be doing some peer checks where you'll get a checklist of all of the right-hand pages that should be there. And they'll do a quick check and you'll get a participation grade for that. My formal assessment, of course, you'll receive a rubric to glue into your notebook. Please be a careful viewer of the video. You've probably heard this 2 or 3 times by now. Watch the video, rewind it where you need to, pause where you need to, review what you need to be sure you're very clear about the material in the video. Remember that video content is test material. Take good notes in your ISN. The next right-hand page for these notes, please. Also be sure you add this topic to the table of contents. On the opposite left-hand page, you're going to write a summary of the information about your ISN. Make sure that it's clear and succinct. And finally, write one question from this video. And the question might be a question you have, something you're not clear about, something that I didn't explain in the video that you wished I had. Or it could be a question where you kind of extend your peers' thinking by asking them to make connections, use inferences, or draw conclusions from the notes that they took. I hope that this was not too short and quick. I hope it answers all of your questions, and I will see you in class.